The event that changed everything. That's what we're talking about today. The event that changed everything. 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, and the first verse says, moreover, and where it says, brethren, let me say crusade. Moreover, crusade, Paul says, I declare unto you the gospel which I preach unto you, which also ye have received, and wherein ye stand, by which also you're saved, if you keep in memory what I preached unto you, unless ye have believed in vain. The third verse, he says, for I delivered unto you first of all that which I also received, how that Christ, he died. Somebody say he died. He died for our sins, according to the scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day. Everybody say the third day. According to, once again, the scriptures. In the 5th verse, and that he was seen of Cephas, then of the 12. 6th verse, after that, he was seen, now watch this, not only of the 12, not only of just Cephas, but he was also seen of 500 brethren at one time, of whom the greater part remain unto this present. In essence, what Paul was saying, Paul was bearing witness that yet there's this generation that yet exists that have foreknowledge, that were eyewitnesses of seeing the Christ, but are fallen asleep. 7th verse. After that, he was seen of James, James, the brother of Jesus, then of all the apostles. And last of all, he was seen of me, also as one born out of due time. Somebody say out of due time. Come on, say out of due time. For I am the least, Paul says, of the apostles, that am not meet to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church. 10th verse. But by the grace of God, I am what I am. In his grace which was bestowed upon me was not in vain. I like that. But I labor more abundantly than they all. Yet not I, but the grace of God which was with me. Therefore, whether it were I or they, so we preach and so we believe. May God add a blessing to the reading of his word. Can I say to you on this morning, as Paul begins to point out to the Corinthian church, Paul wants to make it plain to the Corinthians, as it always had been a part of Paul's ministry when he began to talk about who he was as an apostle, as a preacher, as a saved man of God. Paul would always acknowledge that this Jesus, he died. Not only did he die, but this same Jesus, he rose from the grave. Now see, it's one thing, people of God, it's one thing that an individual would die, and men have always died. But not until Jesus came upon the scene did he have power to speak to the grave. Did he have power to speak to the dead? Did he have power to call individuals, namely Lazarus? He spoke and he told Lazarus, he told him, even though you've been embalmed, even though you're in the grave, he called him by his name, and the earth itself had to give up the dead. Somebody ought to talk to me. And so Paul goes on. Paul says, we haven't had anybody so anointed. We haven't had anybody to walk the earth as the man Jesus Christ. Not only did Jesus change things, but Jesus changed events. It hasn't been that there was a before Christ and then an after Christ. Somebody ought to say amen to it. Listen, because he came and because he rocked every institution known unto man. When this Jesus, when he came to the earth, Jesus had a mandate. His mandate was given by his Father. You know, today, people of God, the thing that blesses me is the fact that, one, when we get saved, we have a mandate. Come on, somebody.